Namaste. Good afternoon, everyone, and wishing you a very, very happy and healthy new year. My name is Jaba Roy. It's been long that we have interacted. I know all of us have gone through a very, very tough time. But it wasn't all negative, right? We have started value our relation over money. We have started value our time over money. And most importantly, we have started realizing that health is actually wealth. But trust me, it wasn't easy to handle the situation. We have come across various psychological issues, starting from students to adults. So, to begin our live sessions in 2021, we wanted to address our psychological issues, all kinds of whys, and how we can address it before it is too late. You can write to us now and we'll try to answer your queries now. Otherwise, also you can reach out to us. All our consultants are available over video consultancy, and sitting at the comfort of your home, you can discuss your health issues with our consultants. Let me introduce our consultant psychiatrist now, Lieutenant Colonel Dr. N. Chandrasekhar.
Good afternoon to all viewers and wish you a happy and healthy 2021. Good afternoon, Java.
Good afternoon, Doctor, and I always love to read your bio sheet.
It's my pleasure.
Lieutenant Colonel Dr. Chandrasekhar is a graduate and postgraduate in psychiatry from one of the top medical schools of our country, Armed Forces Medical College, Pune. He has served with the Indian Army for more than 24 years. The doctor has a vast experience in the field of psychiatry. He not only provided mental health services in India, he also treated patients from foreign countries while with United Nations. His area of interest are de-education, psychiatry, state-related mental health issues, and women and adolescent mental health issues. Lieutenant Colonel Chandrasekhar is an Indian Army veteran. After his training, he was commissioned in Indian Army in February 1995 and served for more than 24 years across the length and breadth of the country. To name a few, he has served in Jammu and Kashmir, icy heights of Siachen Glacier, and the thick jungle of Northeast India. For his untiring efforts and dedicated service in mental health, he was commended by the Army Commander Eastern Command in 2016. During his tenure with United Nations, the doctor received the Force Commander's Appreciation for exemplary service provided in difficult conditions. Good afternoon, Doctor.
Thank you so much for the kind words.
I have written down few of the questions to ask you before, the question starts coming in.
Yeah.
All of us know that it's a very difficult time because of the pandemic. We all are aware that the various physical symptoms of the infection, how it is affecting the mental health of the people.
That's a very good question. We all initially were very worried about the COVID infection and whether we would get the COVID infection, what happens if we get it, or what happens if our near and dear ones get it. But what we saw surprisingly is more than the physical health problems, there was associated a lot of mental health problems also which came up due to these infections, which at times became quite difficult to handle. To start with the lockdown, the kind of initially people enjoyed the break and spending time with the family. But very soon, staying in that closed environment, it started becoming quite strangulating.
Mm-hmm.
People wanted to go outside, they were not able to go outside, and those who went were always worried that they should not bring back the infection. And this worry kind of kept increasing, and following that work from home, the boundaries of working hours and home time kind of got blurred, which further kind of increased.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, partners who used to take a break and go to office and enjoy their time together kind of started looking forward at times just to get this breathing space to go back to the office. So all these were the issues which people were facing and are still facing in the current time too, because things are still not returned back to normal.
Sure. So we are aware that elderly are at more risk for the infection. Is there any specific age vulnerability for mental health issues during this period?
Surprisingly, every age is vulnerable to mental health issues. be it children who want to go outside and play but unable to do so, the new schooling system where they are trying to learn things on the net but things are not working as well as they want, the adults who are having issues working from home, keeping their children busy, keeping their partners, adjusting to the partner's requirements, and the elderly who want to, the break was to go and interact with others, which is not happening. They're living in isolation, which is causing them more anxiety, more depression. So every age is vulnerable. Like yes, the infection is more vulnerable in the elderly, but for mental health issues, every age is vulnerable.
So, I was just reading, I think today or yesterday in the newspaper that, the elderly people, probably in Japan, she hasn't come out of her home for the past 9-10 months. So, do you consider it as a mental issue, or how will you consider it?
Why Japan? It's happening in India too.
True, true.
There are a lot of elderly who are just, even adults I find, who are finding it difficult to come out of their house. I just recently shared, I had a patient who says that after 10 months, because his depression was so much that after 10 months is the first time he stepped outside to seek help because he found that online consultation was not working for him, so he had to come outside. So that is a kind of fear psychosis which is going on. So it is there. And staying locked up or cooped up inside the house does cause a lot of mental health issues.
So it definitely needs, the doctor consultation to start with.
Yeah, it does require help for many people
as
to
I
come
said
outside.
that if you are not coming out of your home, you can still seek the doctor's consultation as from through the video consultation. So we have that facility here. So we have our first question came in, how can I keep my balance when I am at home? Balancing work and personal life is creating a lot of mental stress.
That's a very good question. Like what I was mentioning just a while ago, working from home has kind of blurred the line of working hours and home time. And many people, especially the IT sector, have slept while working and wake up, start working.
True.
So there is just, because of this blurred lines, it has started causing a lot of problem. They don't have time for their own self. They have stopped exercising. They have stopped enjoying themselves. And you wake up on the mobile trying to find out what is the next call or what is the next email message that you need to reply back. This is causing a lot of
It has become a 24 hours rather than...
Yeah, the working hours have become 24/7.
Yeah.
So what I generally recommend for everyone is, the way we have a working hour when we're working in the office, we need to have working hours when you're working from home too. We need to have that distinction. Yes, this is my working hour, this is my off working hour, and I will not pick up any calls or I will not pick up and attend to messages. This is something
unless and until we do that, it's become very difficult.
Like if this is the new normal, I think setting time and setting limits or limit setting is something which should be part of the new normal. If we don't do it, we are going to have a lot of problems.
So someone also has written, as depression is the most major problem, how to come out of it? Number one, I mean it's not easy, but please suggest what to be done when we are in deep depression.
Okay, depression when we see as a reaction to the situation, like for the kind of difficult situation we are in, we tend to have reaction where the depressive episodes are very brief. When I say brief, probably less than 2 weeks, say 3 days, 4 days. So for that, what's best advisable is setting up a routine, having fixed working hours, try to include a lot of physical exercise, because what's happened working from home is we are spending a lot of time sitting on a bed or on a table. We hardly move around.
Sure.
Vis-a-vis when we were there in the office, we used to go out for tea, we used to go for lunch, coffee breaks, interacting with colleagues, going for meetings. So there was a lot of walking around. But now sitting in that one room, in that one chair, there's hardly any activity. So we need to compensate that by doing a lot of physical activity inside our home.
But what is happening, doctor, as you rightly mentioned earlier, that the working hour has become 24 hours. So, in the office, we had a limited, or I won't say we, the IT people mostly, they had a limited time, even if it is for 10 hours or 12 hours. Say after that, they close the laptop and going back home. Yeah. Now the laptop is always open. And the moment something is popping up is a human tendency of at least replying to that message. So how one can be, probably you come from the army background, you have this kind of things that I will not do, I will do. But then in the normal life, when the laptop is open, and even in the mail comes into our mobile, so even if the laptop closed, we have the tendency of looking at it and answering. So how to regulate those things and
Yeah.
comes out of that?
I can share with you what I do to attend my calls. When I am on a call, I try to walk with my call. I prefer to do more of audio calls. So while I'm doing on the audio call, I'm walking, pacing up and down the room. So that way, it's a 10 minutes call or a 15 minutes call.
Right,
I'm
right,
walking
right.
than sitting on a chair or sitting on the bed. That's one. And after 8 p.m., I don't take any calls. I simply shut my calls down. Because if I don't do it, then somebody else has to start treating me for my mental health issues. So we need to set that time. Yes, some people may feel bad about it, the managers may feel bad about it, but at the end of the day, the manager is also a human being. He also has to respect time.
Right, very truly said. So one more question has come. How does one overcome the social stigma imposed on the COVID-infected client?
Yes, when we started somewhere in March, there was a lot of social stigma attached. But probably with the increased prevalence of the infection, where more number of people have been infected, the social stigma is reducing.
Mm-hmm.
But as you has currently pointed out, it is quite still prevalent. As soon as there's somebody who's COVID positive,
Mm-hmm.
people just shun them away. I remember one of my clients who had come and said way back in March, April, that when they were diagnosed to be COVID, the whole building had kind of ganged up against them, and they wanted everybody to be admitted in the hospital so that the building doesn't get infected. So that was a kind of thought process at that point of time. But over the last 8-10 months, people have started understanding. So it used to be the whole building isolation to floor isolation to now limited to a house isolation.
Yes.
And now it's come down to room isolations. So yes, the stigma is gradually going down.
Okay, yeah, that's true. So I got a very emotional question. That person with loss of stressful life, does crying relieve?
Crying is a way of relieving one's stress. It is quite true, but it is quite individualistic also. Everybody doesn't feel relieved by crying. Today I was talking to one of the clients on the telephone.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked her, do you feel better after crying? She said, no, I don't feel better. But yes, generally people feel better after crying. They feel as if the weight has
Just
kind of
come
flowed
out.
out by the tears.
Yeah.
It is a way. If it's comfortable, then please do it.
Okay, so coming back to my question, that in the recent past there has been an increase of those seeking help for the psychological issues. We have seen the other day, one very young boy of maybe 18, 19, he repeatedly coming to you. What is the commonly you see that the psychological issues, or generally what age, because he's too into tender age of 18, 19 years and repeatedly coming to you, I have seen that. What generally is the years you can see, or the general complaint they come back to you again and again?
There are two common ages which are coming to our attention. One is around the 20s and 30s.
Okay.
They come with frequent panic attacks. They feel as if there is an attack, their heart is going very fast, their mouth is drying, their breathing increases. Especially these panic attacks causes a lot of stress to people because the breathing becomes very fast. And as soon as the breathing becomes fast, they start worrying that they have developed COVID infection because they have all read that in COVID, it's the breathing which gets affected. So the immediate fear is the breathing. While in the age group of 50 to 60 or probably 50 to 70, the main fear is, what if I develop COVID and if something happens to me, what would happen to my partner or what would happen to my children? So that's the main fear. That's a lot of that anxiety which comes into that age group, that what happens to the family if I don't come through COVID. So these are the common two things, age groups which we commonly see in our clinical practice.
So again, I need to ask you something that, when this tender age, they are repeatedly coming because uh, when the patient was with you, the mother was with me,
Okay.
and she was crying because she was wondering that whether one day he will take up, the last call. So, uh, is this that this kind of patient, they take an extreme step, or is there anything that you can bring back to normalcy?
Uh, Generally, children are resilient for all these kind of stress. But in every age group, there are some vulnerable population,
Mm-hmm.
which makes them at a risk for mental health issues.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who's having a pre-existing mental health issues, or going through multiple stresses, uh, having issues, feeling of perceived lack of support from the family.
Right.
So these are the issues which make a person vulnerable
Mm-hmm.
for taking the extreme step to harm themselves. But as a norm, what we generally see is not suicidal behavior, but more of anxiety and the fear that something might happen to them.
How do you want the parents to be aware of that, or what do you suggest the parents to do
I,
to the
I
children?
I would suggest to the parents to come clean with the children. Firstly, firstly understand your fears, because if you as a parent, if I as a parent can understand my fears, I can counter my fears, then it will be easy to counter the fears of my child. If I myself am quite anxious, I can have a smile in front of my child, but the child can see through the artificial smile. So first I need to address my own anxiety, and once I'm in a better shape, probably I can address the fear of my child.
Mm-hmm.
And if you see, the child's basic fear is, what if my parents are no more? That is the perpetual fear every child has.
Mm-hmm.
If something happens to my parents, what is the support system for me? So if we are able to address that fear of a child, that don't worry, we are here to support you, or we are there to help you out, and we are not leaving anywhere, we are taking precautions, we are wearing a mask, we are washing our hands, we are not going outside, these are the precautions which are required. I am also following, you also follow.
Mm-hmm.
Things are generally quite beneficial. The child understands.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we need to treat them at par. Many times we kind of push away the child, saying that he will not understand or she will not understand. That's not a correct attitude or not the correct behavior to deal with the
Or
child.
is there too much of an expectation from the parents that drive the students or the child to go into the depression? That, I can see my neighbor's son is doing that, or my relative's son is doing that. Why can't you do it?
See, that's something which has been going on prior to the COVID pandemic also.
Yeah,
The
that is
pressure
in general.
Yeah, the pressures from the parents. See, today in the modern world, every parent wants the child to excel. And this eventually translates, whether we want or not, it translates to our child. So we need to be very careful about what we are transmitting to our child. So we should not be transmitting our high expectations onto our children, because that eventually affects their growth.
Expectation and anxiety both.
They both go hand in hand.
Yeah, okay. So, what commonly we see in everyone is quite fearful of being infected by coronavirus and now strain.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how should one help oneself?
Like I said, we have been, last 10 months, the government has been advertising social distancing, wearing a mask, washing our hands repeatedly, not to go outside unnecessarily. So if you kind of follow the basic tenets, what has been advised to us for the last many months now, which is kind of, we can rattle it off in our sleep. If we just follow it, I think we are quite safe.
Okay.
But it's quite unfortunate when we go outside, we see people going without mask, saying that others are wearing a mask, so why should I wear a mask? So all these kind of thoughts, or not washing their hands.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the kind of behaviors which puts them at risk and eventually puts us also in the risk at the end.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is only the basic hygiene to follow.
Basic hygiene. I think that's, even if you see the other countries where there's an increase in the Western countries, which there's an increase, the main problem which they're facing is that people are not following social distancing, people are not wearing a mask. The question as to why should I wear a mask? It is to protect yourself and to protect others. So once we understand this basic social requirement, I think half the battle is won.
Half the battle is done, yeah. Another, very relevant, which we have already discussed, if people are spending long time in front of computer, do you think it helps one to divert one's mind?
It is very important that we understand that our screen time has got a direct bearing on our mental health. Prior to the pandemic also, it was always said that every 10 to 15 minutes we should take our eye away from the screen and look at a distance. This is something to relieve our eyes. And when you are doing continuous work on the screen, we need to take a small walk for a few minutes so that it improves our circulation in the leg. And not only that, it gives us a break from our, imagine trying to read continuously. Even if you see our school periods or college periods are not more than 45 minutes to 1 hour. But in our work, we think that we can work for 6 hours and 7 hours or even 10 to 12 hours and expect excellent results all the time.
Right.
It doesn't work. So we need to have to take breaks. It is not a sign of weakness, but it's a sign of recharging our batteries.
Okay. So through this work from, we all know that it has become work from home, though, most of the offices, they said Apple and Amazon, they say that will start soon. But then most of the IT companies, they are sorry, doing work from home. And there has been an increased incidence of domestic violence, right? We read it on and off. How can we reduce the strained interpersonal issues faced by the family members?
Like what I told in the beginning,
Yes.
more number of people staying at home. People used to get a break from their partners when they went to the office, but now that's no longer there. So we end up stepping on our partner's toe quite often. So a lot of things have come into focus. The good points which have come into focus is we have started spending more time with our family, having meals together, spending time with our children, understanding our children. So these are the pluses which have come. Unfortunately, some minuses have also cropped up.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's been regular fights. We have incidents where there's been domestic violence. Probably the main issue comes in lack of sharing of work. So since both the partners are staying at home, children also at home, the question of who looks after the children, who looks after the requirements of the house, this leads to kind of a power struggle at home. So if we are able to understand this power struggle and kind of, I would accept it, if the male is able to set his ego aside and work towards the betterment of the house, I think once both the partners are into it, eventually it kind of mitigates the situation and the situation becomes much more better. It will help in reducing the domestic violence issues.
So one question has come, children, when they are in very much stubborn mode and they never try to listen to or cooperate or try to understand when parents what they are wanted to explain them, how to manage the movement from both sides.
Yeah, I would like to mention a quote here. Children tend to listen less and copy more. If you are able to understand this basic quote that children tend to listen less and copy more, if you can keep this in mind, you'll realize that how to deal with your child. If as a parent, if I spend most of my time on the mobile, on the laptop, and expect my child to behave himself as to not to spend time on the mobile,
True.
or
Very true.
not to sit and watch TV, when I'm spending all my time going through serials, there's a kind of mismatch. So if I want my child to listen to what I'm saying, the first thing is I need to start doing it. So electronic discipline starts from self before we impose it onto our children.
Very true. Very nicely said. So I have heard parents being distressed about the children's behavior during these trying times. What do you think is the cause for it?
Like I said, being cooped up in small spaces is quite distressing. Just imagine a child about 10 months back was allowed to go outside, play, exert all his energy in the school, in the playground. Suddenly, this child is put into a room. He's told that he can't go outside the four walls of the house. And how does this bundle of energy relieve his energy?
True.
So it has to come out in doing pranks at home, doing all the things which a parent tells not to do. So probably we need to find out ways, probably happening more in boys than in girls, because they end up doing they require a lot of physical exertion to relieve the energy. So we need to come up with activities where they are able to relieve their energy and cause less of damage at home. So it is something which the parents or both the partners need to sit and discuss and come to a decision of what's best for the child. Probably even going out for a run at a time which is not crowded, or going out for cycling on individual basis would be ways to let out their steam and
I
eventually help the
actually have
child.
seen that a lot of, the parents have started doing the cycling part early in the morning.
Yeah.
So,
So if as a parent or if as a child, if we are able to kind of get into a time zone where we are able to go outside where without much social contact and maintaining social distancing, I think it will be a good thing to follow in the long run. As even our Prime Minister says, this is the new normal. So we
True.
have to learn to live with it.
Absolutely. What do you think is the way ahead for people? What should they do to face the new normal?
The most important thing which I would say which needs to be done is please, there was a routine in life prior to the pandemic. It is very essential to set a routine to your life in the pandemic, in the new normal. If you are able to set a routine which includes your working hours, your exercise, family time, personal time, I think it goes in improving the mental health.
It's very
around it.
important, this personal time.
Personal time, yes. Because if we don't have that personal time with a time to heal ourselves and time to come back to normal,
Naturally, the irritation comes.
it comes and it will the brunt is with the partner or the child.
True.
Yeah.
Very true. I have few rapid fire questions for you.
Please go ahead. I'll try to answer the best capabilities.
Okay. Stress is usually thought as a negative experience, but it can be a positive one. Yes or no?
Stress, I would think, is very positive. It's eustress. The negative one or the distress is quite less. The distress is what we make out of it. The negative thoughts is something which I generate. While stress itself is something which promote. Even this interview is stressful, but it's making me do things.
Is it possible to eliminate stress? Yes or no?
No, neither it is possible nor is it advisable. Stress should not be eliminated. It is, like I said, a eustress which promotes us
Very
to do
interesting.
things.
Chronic stress is constant and persists over time. Yes or no?
Chronic stress is very distressing. It needs to be addressed, and if it persists over a time, it might lead to mental health issues.
The hormone known as cortisol helps the body manage stress. Yes or no?
Yes, cortisol is one of the hormones which is released with the stress, but prolonged stress, the cortisol kind of gets over, and then the issues start happening. Like I said, chronic stress is not something which is good.
Physical symptom of stress may include what?
Physical stress, the physical signs of stress are commonly headache, dizziness, breathlessness, non-specific pains, backache, chest pains, and exhaustion. That's commonest is exhaustion, feeling tired over small issues, and last but not the least, irritation, getting irritated over small issues.
Stress is an unnatural reaction. Yes or no?
As long as the activity is something which is expected, it is quite normal. We react normally. But anything which is unexpected or out of my capabilities of handling it, it becomes stressful and the reactions is bad. Like the rapid fire was unexpected.
I know that. Chronically stressed people are more likely to do what?
Chronic stress, like I said, it's a harbinger for a mental health disorder. It does cause anxiety disorders, depression, and sometimes people do take extreme steps to harm themselves to kind of get away from the stressful situation. So one should not allow it to go to those extremes.
What are endorphins?
Endorphins are the good chemicals which our body releases. Generally, it releases on kind of exercise. It helps in elevating the mood. They are kind of natural opioids which are there produced out by our own brain.
A stressed person can stimulate endorphin released by what activity?
Exercise is the best way to release endorphins. Anything which makes us happy does release endorphins, but exercise is one of the best ways to release endorphins. Like I said, walking, running, or just doing treadmill or cycling inside the house does release endorphins, and it's one of the best ways to deal with our stress.
Thank you so much. It was lovely, and I just love the rapid fire questions and answers. Thank you, viewers, for your active participation. On 27th, that is on Wednesday at 3 p.m., we are coming back with one of our senior cardiologists. In the recent past, we have seen how a sports person who who does regular exercise, extremely active in life, had a sudden blackout followed by angioplasty in one artery, wherein he has blockages in all three arteries. What could be the reason? How can we prevent it? If you have any questions regarding that, anything related to heart, please write to us at infobsk@sagarhospitals.in, and we would happy to answer all your questions on 27th at 3 p.m. Thank you so much.
Thank you.